I am thinking absolutely, and it should be personal. Like I feel like, I was thinking about this too. To be in bondage. Imagine coming from a place where it's unacceptable to have imperfections and to be hypocritical and to not honor your word, right? Imagine coming from a place like that and be thrown into a place that was nothing but hypocritical. So you're telling me this Bible, here's this Bible, slaves obey your masters and all these, but there's all these other things while you're raping and stealing and doing all manner of lying and all of this stuff. And then we have to like swallow all of that because you have no power to watch people plant crops wrong. And you know the right thing because they brought you over here for your agricultural skills. You're like, this is wrong, but you can't even tell the person that is wrong, even though they brought you here for your expertise. Like, there's so much upside downness that we need to make right side up. And again, this is not about making anyone feel bad. It's about telling the truth. And at some point, if you live in this world, you should want to align yourself with the truth. And it's not a complexion. Truth is not black and white. It is, right? And so I was just thinking, man, for 200 years, you had to endure in the insanity of watching wrong every day and not being able to say anything under threat of death. And then what does that do epigenetically? Like, are we the children of that energy where we swallow wrong things because the punishment for speaking up was so great? Is that
oh my God? Okay, you about to take me there because listen. This has been on my mind in thinking about the DEI suits and the overturn of affirmative action, these kind of things. Right? I just started thinking, okay, so at what point are we going to have a real conversation with white women? Now I got white women friends, like they can call me, I got a black friend. And that is what I'm saying is, when we're gonna have a real conversation. So y'all mean to tell me you let this white man convince you that it was okay to beat me because I'm stronger and my kid? Okay, that's number one lie that you believe forever long. Then you let this white man tell you that he was only having sex with people with my people to populate the land, that he didn't like it, right? You let that happen? Okay, that's number two. All right.
Wait. Can we pause on the number two though?
Okay.
What was her option? I was talking yesterday about Joy Behar. I know she's got a book coming out. Now, I would hope in her book she would address some of the things. She'll be 81, I think, this year, or she'll be 82. But she lived through a time when women could not own property or have a credit card without a man's signature. Like, she remembers that. Do you know what I'm saying? My grandmother couldn't vote. Do you know what I'm saying? So if we think about, women on a plantation, they were chattel too. Just they got benefits. So there had to be a level of resentment because they weren't really free. So what is that twisty turn where you don't have a voice, you don't have any power, you don't have any agency beyond the man that you're with, while he's doing all of these things that you can't check or challenge because he could whoop your ass and kill you. Like in many countries today, by the way, women can get their asses whipped and killed with no consequence, right? What's her role? So the only thing we do, and this is human nature beyond white and black, right, Omi? That we always hurt the ones we love, meaning that it's much easier to come home and kick your dog or beat your wife or whatever than to challenge the actual thing that is putting you in bondage. So on plantations, black women were getting it left and right. Black men who were oppressed definitely enacted their anger and frustration and all of that on that woman. And then they had no voice. And then here come massa. You have no voice. Then you got to raise children, and you're raising massa's children. It's so funny, right? For 200 years, white folk didn't raise their children. They handed them over to somebody who suckled and raised them. And then that child grows up to be that person's master. There's so much damage going on in this country alone, and I'm sure in the Caribbean and other places, not to mention colonized Africa. There's so much here that has to be worked through. But go ahead. Number two, keep going, because I was just like, yo.
But no, but what you're saying, so that's why I got questions. When we start talking about overturning affirmative action or overturning, or like just all these suits that are going on about race-based programming, I got questions because I'm like, I don't understand why the woman in this country who knows their history could even, like, who are these people's wives? Who are their daughters? Like that's the stuff that I be thinking about. Like what, like, okay, so say you one man guy, you group of men is some not, maybe not thinking straight. Got it. But like you, the person you sleep with every night, the person that you put to school, your daughter, whoever, they ain't got no, that we're facing the same level of silencing, and we're not openly talking about that, right? So like these white women still don't feel like they can say nothing. They still don't feel safe enough, in my opinion. And the thing, and when I say safe enough, ignorance, ignorance coming through unsafety. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but don't they benefit? So you look at Moms for Liberty, for example, which should not exist in a world such as this. It should not even have a role. They're doing the bidding. They are more vociferous and aggressive and passionate about this than any man could be, because what they're literally fighting for is their adjacency to power, which they can only get in their minds because they've been conditioned to think that for 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000 years through the man. So you're going to fight everything in your being to make sure your little boy and your husband and your daddy and everybody's going to, we're not going to infect them with this DEI and all of this history and stuff. I need them to feel good about themselves because they need to be in power for me to be in power. They've attached, it is a sickness, right? They're not seeing what you're saying. Whereas Black women have always had to manage both of those things, right? Somehow, because of the positioning on purpose, where we were co-partners, perhaps, as I mentioned, Hatshepsut and Nzinga, like it was not unusual to have a woman leader because there were no kings and queens per se. That's a very westernized thing that there's, but if you think about it, didn't they have the Elizabeths, two of them, and Mary, Queen of Scots? Like they're used to also having a monarchy through women. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation that we're having, but I think in this country, the 53 percenters, those who would cast their net with a Trump, and this is the example, see their power only through their man. And if that's the case, why wouldn't you fight to have power at any cost? If you didn't believe you could get it any other way?
I love that because I have a theory about the complicated history of Black and white women, right? And that our proximity to power looks different, where historically, if your man is taken away or not there, whatever the case is, then your quote unquote man is God or whatever you believe. And that becomes your thing. That's how we got church doing what it's doing at different levels. Of course, that complicated history there. And then we get a man that, like Tyler Perry, that takes that and runs with it. And I think that like there's that. So I think it's really when the white woman's proximity to power is in the other room, like literally in the other room of the house, right? You want something that one, the little girl wants something, she go ask the dad, who's essentially the pillar of power in the country that you're in, right? And that conditioning creates something else. Interestingly enough, though, that conditioning also has the position to create such a neutral mindset that is actually influenceable, that can be influenced in different directions, because now you're like, well, my people are the power, my dad is the power in this country, whatever that looks like. So you could be considered a little bit more impressionable.
Well, I want to be daddy's little girl. 866-801-8255. What does that mean exactly? And even if we look into our community, there are folk upholding patriarchy and anti-women behavior who are women, and this is not just about knowing your place in the house. It's deeper than that, because somehow, I don't know, we need counseling. That's all. I just feel like we just need, everybody should go to mandatory counseling, period. It should be mandatory. You turn 16. I think that's a good age. Everybody should go set themselves down and talk to somebody and work through it, because we are sick.